Prime Minister's questions was eventful yesterday as it returned, and it's safe to say there has been a lot of fallout. In today's video, we aren't going to focus on him being roasted, nor are we focusing on him avoiding the questions around tax rises. We want to unpack the fatal move he made during his speech, that the internet has in fact caught him out with lying. As always, we will go through this, whilst also going over all of the latest news from up and down the country. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. Prime Minister's questions saw Sir Keir grilled over the future of the Falkland Islands following the surrender of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. Liberal Democrat leader Ed Davey asked the PM to ensure that British citizens, fishing off the Falklands, can sail proudly under the Union Jack. Starmer responded instantaneously, claiming that his uncle had nearly lost his life in Falklands War when his ship was torpedoed defending the Falklands. Starmer reiterated, "They are British and they will remain British. It is personal to me." But the remarks left many confused, given that no British ship was torpedoed in the conflict. Only one Argentine ship, the Belgrano, was hit in this way. The internet, of course, were fast to react and have demanded answers to Starmer's claim. This follows on from a bad week for Labour and Starmer, as their lead in the polls has narrowed to a mere 1 point, following a turbulent beginning to Sir Keir Starmer's tenure as Prime Minister. This latest polling emerges despite his efforts to restore order by accepting the resignation of his Chief of Staff, Sue Gray. According to a survey by More in Common for Politico, Labour stands at 29%, while the Conservative Party trails closely with 28%. Reform UK polled at 19%, with the Liberal Democrats at 11%. The Green Party secured 7%, while the SNP registered just 2%. 3 months ago, Starmer was consistently polling around 20 points ahead of the Conservatives before the election. The poll comes after weeks of internal strife within Labour, following its historic election victory, alongside scrutiny over gifts received by the Prime Minister and senior cabinet ministers, and growing concerns that the government has lost grip on its own agenda. YouGov has found that Keir Starmer is now as unpopular as Nigel Farage net favourability scores. Nigel Farage. -35 Keir Starmer, -36 Rishi Sunak, -42. It makes for grim reading as Starmer chairs his first cabinet Tuesday, following a wide-ranging shake-up of his struggling Downing Street team. In other news, Lee Anderson has claimed the vast majority of true Conservatives have left the Tories for Reform UK. It comes as Robert Jenrick and Kemi Badenoch prepare to make their pitch to Tory members after securing a sufficient number of votes from MPs to reach the final two of the Tory leadership race. Speaking in an interview, Anderson said it will be interesting to see how Tory members vote. The man who defected from the party to join Reform UK earlier this year says many true Conservatives will have done similar. The membership has probably changed massively over the past year or so since Reform UK have been on the march, he said. I think, like I said before, a lot of the true Conservatives in the Conservative Party membership have probably come to Reform UK. Anderson then made his prediction for the race, saying this trend will likely play into the hands of Kemi Badenoch. I think Robert Jenrick has been a bit more open and is speaking our reforms sort of language, he said, so Kemi may well get it. Asked if Badenoch winning the vote would be a bad thing for reform, the MP insisted he has no concerns about what the Tories have to offer. I think the Conservative Party are a busted flush, he said. Cleverly going out, I'm disappointed. I wanted him to win the leadership contest, because if it was him, I would have been in Parliament for another 20 years. Reform won 14% of the vote at July's general election, earning themselves a foothold in Parliament with 5 MPs. The party leader, Nigel Farage, lauded the party's growth in recent months, saying membership is increasing every day. Lee said many of those joining the party ranks at grassroots level will have come from the Conservative Party. In other news, Chancellor Rachel Reeves has been warned of excess deaths this winter, as a result of her controversial decision to cut the winter fuel payment for tens of millions of pensioners. Reeves, who has defended her move as the right decision, has been widely criticised ahead of the looming budget, which could trigger further blows to Britain's elderly community. Speaking in an interview, pensioner Susan Mensforth said the move is totally unjust, and many pensioners who no longer qualify for the benefit are in poverty. Mensforth, 79, told host Patrick Christys, "I think that the threshold has been set for far too low. There are many people on pension credit that are in poverty in any case, but people just above that are also in poverty. The Pensions and Lifetime Savings Association says that you need, for a minimum lifestyle, £14,400 a year to live on. Now, those who are just above the pension credit, they're absolutely devastated by this, and I call it utter cruelty. I've got savings, so I'm lucky." Expressing her concerns for those in her local area of Buxton in North Derbyshire, where temperatures can plummet to as low as -10 degrees, Mensforth warned that the Labour government could be seeing excess deaths as a result of pensioners freezing in their homes. Mensforth said, "I believe in fighting for people, for justice. When you get to my age as a pensioner, you can't take the exercise you used to get the circulation going, so it's going to lead to excess deaths. I belong to an organisation which campaigns for the elderly called Silver Voices, and there are other campaigns, such as the National Pensioners Convention and Age UK. They've got members who are absolutely terrified about how they're going to get through the winter." Admitting she has had to cut back on essentials following the news of her benefit being cut, Mensforth highlighted how millions across Britain will be forced to choose between heating and eating to get through the tough winter months. Mensforth told Patrick, "Energy prices have just gone up again. Older people tend to spend much more of the day and obviously evening in their homes. So they need lighting, they need heating, but people are having to take the choice between eating and heating. I've cut back on things, but there are some people are having to absolutely cut out all but essentials." She added, "And when you've worked and paid into the system all of your life, it seems totally unjust." Hitting out at her local MP, Labour's John Pearce, Mensforth claimed that he is among the government members who believe pensioners who are above the threshold are millionaires. She fumed, "He's an ex-London lawyer who was brought up in the Derby area, not in this area, and he seems to think that anybody above the pension credit limit is a millionaire." Patrick has also set up a Just Giving fundraising page to help raise money for Friends of the Elderly, which has raised over £226,000 so far. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.